I'm hoping that you have watched one of my previous video where I gave my Mavic Mini 1 a takeoff from a moving train. If not so, you can watch it anytime you want. And in this video, I will prefer this as the previous video. Now in this video, I'll be sharing another similar experience. But this time my drone almost got crashed into a bridge. Let's see what happened. First things first, please don't try to repeat this experience. Not all time your drone will be lucky enough to survive. Also, never, I repeat, never play with trains. And this video is strictly an experience sharing video and not an influential video. You yourself will be responsible if anything happens to your drone or if you get hurt. So don't try to repeat, just enjoy this video. Okay, so unlike my Billimora trip, I had no plans to chase the Mavli Marwar meter gauge train with my drone, since this train has a maximum permitted speed of 80 km per hour. So no chance of chasing it with the Mavic Mini 1, which can fly at maximum speed of 46 km per hour. But when we were in the train, we noticed that due to some reason, the train was restricted to 40 km per hour. Well, now that triggered me in rethinking of chasing the train with the drone. So I started exploring the route ahead on Google Maps. And then I decided to cover the section between Devgarh and Kamli Ghat in drone by taking off while having a halt at Devgarh station. Devgarh to Kamli Ghat is a tunnel-less or forestless section of just 5 km, which takes around 10 minutes to complete. So it was mathematically safe for my drone. And this was more safer than what it was at Gandevi as shown in the previous video. It was a clear sunny day in Rajasthan, so I can take off from the station without worrying about rain. But as I told you, I had no plans of flying drone anywhere on this route, and also I had reset my phone before coming on this trip for clearing some glitches. So I didn't do any pre-flight check before leaving for this trip. Now after deciding about chasing this train, I realized that I don't have the DJI Fly app in my phone, which is mandatory for Mavic Mini to fly. So I downloaded the app while I was inside the train. The Mavic Mini 1 and 2, or simply the drones lighter than 250 grams, are restricted to fly at maximum altitude of 15 meters in India. Well, that's one of the worst and pathetic decisions ever taken by DGCA. But क्या करें, ना चाहते हुए भी हमें मानना पड़ेगा, since we are powerless against them. But when I installed the app in my phone, I noticed that it was showing me a max limit of 500 meters for Mavic Mini in India. I thought the DGCA updated the rules. So I continued with my decision to chase the train from Devgarh to Kamli Ghat. The train arrived at Devgarh and I successfully and safely took off from the halted train. Took my drone enough above the train that I got my desired view. The train departed and I started moving the Mavic Mini along with the train. Now, while both were moving, out of nowhere, and all of a sudden the app gave me a warning that the max altitude is now limited to 15 meters. At this stage, there was no returning back. But still, the 15-meter height seemed well above the train to have a mesmerizing view. And also, that area had no high-rise towers or power lines ahead. So even with the 15-meter limit, we were good to go. Yeah, but as I told you in the first video, Mavic Mini fly with respect to the point of takeoff and not with the respect to controller, made be for distance or even for height. The 15-meter height seemed okay, but now the train started gaining altitude due to the gradient terrain and the drone started coming down relatively. Even at this situation, it was safe since the train obviously won't gain 15-meter height in just 5 kilometers, right? But now, when we moved ahead, and after crossing a curve, we noticed that there's a road over bridge coming ahead. The drone had lost a significant height due to GPS point that it won't make it through if sent above the bridge. Now I was left with no option than taking it from below the bridge, but lowering its height further makes it vulnerable to high trees and wires around the tracks. But I had no options to select from, but to lower its height compulsorily. This added up more obstacle to avoid without any obstacle avoidance sensors. Again, I cannot keep the drone steady at one place now. It will disconnect its signal with the controller after a certain point and then will return back to its takeoff point, that's at the Devgarh station, and then I won't be able to retrieve it back. So I have had to keep him moving ahead. No matter what, there was no turning back. And now, to dodge these trees, I had to maneuver my drone sideways, which now adds another obstacle, the interference of the train body to the transmission of data between drone and the remote. This made it more difficult since the on-screen transmission was only judgment I had to control the drone in this hurdle. Switching sides of the drone with respect to train made me switch my window side as well. Sometimes it even showed me that signal interference warning. I was afraid about the disconnection of the signal, but luckily it didn't happen. When we approached the bridge, I almost rammed it into it, but in time I further lowered the height to get it saved. But then it was the train which was now a collision danger. But luckily somehow I managed to maneuver my drone alive from that point. Hush. But the risk wasn't over yet. The lowered drone was still vulnerable to high trees and cables. But ahead there was some clear area. So I pulled the drone ahead of my coach so that I can also have a visual monitoring on him as well. Now there was a power line to tackle, and I don't know what I was going to see before the Kamli Ghat station arrives. But luckily, at an unmanned level crossing, a car was crossing the track, due to which the loco pilot stopped the train. Seeing this, I pulled my drone backwards toward my coach as fast as I can, got down from the train and quickly caught the drone in my hands and rushed safely back inside the train. Hush! The drone was now safe in my hands. Both me and my friend Rajesh were looking at each other in fear of losing the drone, but happy for its survival. This wouldn't have been so dramatic if the 50-meter limit was not there. The drone would have flown much safely from above the bridge and could make it safely all the way till Kamli Ghat. Made me for any reason, the height restriction of 15 meters by DGCA looks so idiotic. Consumers or photographers buy Mavic Mini 1 or 2 to get best aerial shot, which also comes at a reasonable budget. A limit of 50 meter would also have been understandable, but 15 meter? It is seriously pathetic limitation to have. Hope DGCA and its decision maker understands this someday and change this limit. Thanks for watching my experience video. Hope you have enjoyed watching it. Thank you.